Hi everyone, it's Brenda Quintana here. I'm live from the Beehive this morning. It is a gorgeous sunny day today. I'm so happy. Yesterday was kind of overcast, and even though it wasn't really cold, it feels cold when the sky is gray. So I am so happy that it's a sunshiny day. So today we have a card. It's Casing Tuesday. As many of you already know, it's a day when we copy a card out of the catalog and give it a makeover. We change something about it. Or you can copy the card exactly. And we have a Facebook group where we share our cards. Catalina started doing the casing, and I joined her a little bit about a year after she started, and we have a Facebook group now where not only Catalina and I do cards each week, but we have a group of bloggers who do a card for us based on the card that is chosen each week. The really cool thing is that you can join us if you want to. You can also give the card a makeover and post it on our Facebook group, and those links are in the description of this video, so go ahead and click on those if you're not already a member, and you can join and you can post your card. And it's kind of fun because we're all doing the same card, right? And then we can, see all the different samples we can create based on that one design. So that's kind of the fun thing about it. So this week's card was a little bit hard for me, and so I'm going to show you how I kind of broke it down to make it a little simpler, because sometimes we'll see a card and it has all these different elements in it, and we're trying to copy it and it's kind of overwhelming. So if you're new, break down the elements, like look at the essential layers of the card, and if there's something that's like too over the top, you can remove that. It doesn't have to, not every single element has to be represented. Just look at the basic layers and then try and recreate those. That's the best way I can use to describe how I create the card. So let me flip this around, and so you can see my work surface, so you can see the card and all of that. This card has a few pieces to it. It doesn't look that complex, but it has a few pieces to it, so I shouldn't blab too much, so we have time so I can show you how I came and did that. So let me flip around, just give me a second. And good morning to everyone who's joined me. There's my view this morning. Isn't that gorgeous? Well, my tripod's in the way, but if my tripod wasn't in the way, see, there's the river. It's so gorgeous out there. Okay, let me move this for a second. Okay, there's my work surface. All right, so let me just, this is on the inside back page of the annual catalog. This is the card that we're casing right here. It's this card with the jar on it. Now, this stamp set that was used is called Sharing Sweet Thoughts, and this is our Ronald McDonald fundraiser card. So, or stamp set, I mean. So I love this because this stamp set down here matches one of the stamp sets in the catalog already, but it has a lot of cool extra elements that you'll want if you already have that jar stamp set. And this is great because Stampin' Up! Donates money for every one of these stamp sets sold. They donate $3. And the Ronald McDonald House is a super charity. It's near and dear to my heart. I had a family member who, my nephew had cancer, and his family was not close to a cancer center, and they stayed at the Ronald McDonald House there. And so anyway, I just love that they, Stampin' Up! Does a fundraiser stamp set every year. So if you don't have this stamp set and you like it, you should get it. So anyway, I'm going to close this up. This is the card that we're starting from. And this is the card that I made. I thought, kind of instead of the jar, I used the Coffee Cafe stamp set and the matching framelits, and I did a Shamrock Shake, which I thought was kind of fun. I'm having a St. Patrick's kind of themed week. You may have noticed my little, these are the little Rolo Shamrocks that I did earlier this week on my blog, and they're just really cute. And I know some of you are like, but like, aren't the Rolos gonna fall out? Well, they don't fall out. Actually, they stay in there. That's part of the secret to my tutorial. They actually stay in, so they make a nice little favor, you know, to hand out on St. Patrick's Day. All right, so this card right here, let's get started on it. I just want to show you the elements, the stamp sets on it. So this is the cafe stamp set. That's kind of forms the base of the card. Then we've got the marble stamp set, which does the marbling, like kind of the shake element, so it doesn't look just like all one color. And then the teeny tiny wishes stamp set. And I have had this stamp set so long that when I originally bought it, it was a wood mount stamp set, and now you can buy it in the what do you call it, the clear mount. It's not really clear mount, but it's like you can't see through the stamp, but you can mount it on a clear block. And I've had it so long that I actually unmounted mine from my wood blocks, and that's why I have a different kind of cover than you would probably get if you ordered it now as a clear mount. So anyway, that's why mine looks a little funny, but it's a good stamp set. It has so many great greetings in it. Okay, I'm blabbing too much today. Let's start off with the stamping. I've got a piece of scrap of Very Vanilla, a scrap of Whisper White, and a scrap of Lemon Lime Twist. I need a scrap piece of paper too. All right, let me put this one on here. So we need to start off by stamping the cream, and I'm using Sahara Sand, and I'm going to use this stamp right here, which is kind of like the cream on top of the milkshake that we're making. Now, if you do Whisper White, on Whisper White, the cream is not going to stand out very well. So instead of doing that, I did the Very Vanilla, so that there's a little bit of contrast, so it stands out a little bit more. So grab this, the Sahara Sand ink pad, and I'm just going to stamp that down there. So that's going to give us like the contrast. Then I need the straw. Where is my straw stamp? Right here. And I decided I could have done a green straw, but I decided that I needed a little, to bring in the Bermuda Bay card base. I wanted to bring in a little bit more color. So I'm going to stamp the straw in Bermuda Bay. So just ink that up. And I'm just going to, my stamp looks a little, there's something stuck on it. I have to clean it. Just give me a second. Sometimes when I leave my stamps out, something floats down from the air, and I just didn't like the way that looked. So I'm just going to stamp this kind of off to the side. We have a straw die for that. And then I want to, let me put these pieces aside for a second. I want to stamp this scrap piece of Lemon Lime Twist with the marble background stamp, okay? And I'm just using a tone-on-tone color. So this is my Lemon Lime Twist ink pad. And I could ink up this entire stamp, but I'm only going to use part of it. So I'm just going to ink up the portion that's actually going to cover the Lemon Lime Twist cardstock. So I'm just going to, these stamps are hard to pick up. Stamp that down. When you're stamping a big background stamp, you're going to take a little bit extra time because of the size. Sometimes it has a harder time making contact with the cardstock. So leave it on there for a while. Give it some pressure. You're going to have to put a little bit of weight into it, and I wiggle it a little bit from side to side and from top to bottom just to get it to have contact. Leave it on there for a few seconds. That will help the ink absorb into the cardstock. And there you go. This is a little bit of a bald spot right here. I'll avoid that when I'm die cutting. This whole piece didn't need to be covered 100%. All right, So then let's bring in our big shot. Okay. And we need to die cut all of these pieces. So I've got my magnetic platform and I forgot my second cutting plate. Just give me a second. I thought I had everything there, but I didn't. So let's cut this piece, and this piece. Let's see if we can cut them all at the same time. So I need the big cup. Let me plop that down on here. I need the whipped cream. Just make sure that's kind of on there. And then the straw. Let's see if I can fit this on here too. It might be going off the edge just a little bit. Okay. Ah, the straw. You know what? I'm going to do the straw on my second run. How's that? That way I won't have to worry about 3 dies being cut. Because I'm also going to cut a window sheet to put over the top. I don't know if you noticed, but I have a window sheet over top of here. It makes more of a difference when you're getting this card in person than when you're seeing it online. But when you get it in person, I think the shiny cup makes it look more authentic. So we've got the 2 pieces, and then we're going to take a piece of window sheet. Let's shove that back over here. It looks like I'm going to have to cut the straw separate. I'm just going to do the window sheet right now because I have a big piece of window sheet and I didn't cut it down, so it's going to crackle. Whenever I cut window sheet, it makes a really awful noise. Okay. This one didn't cut so well, so guess what? When something doesn't cut well, and I think it just depends the contact with your sheet, you're just going to line it back up again. And sometimes what I do, if it doesn't cut very well, I turn it so it's going through in a different spot. So I've lined my die back up with my cut marks. So I'm just going to run it through this way now. So there you go. So now it's cut through. If you have trouble with it each time, then I would just cut, shift, and run it through a second time to make sure it got cut. But that time, I guess it just didn't hit that edge very well, depending on how my plates are warping. Sometimes it won't cut through properly. So then just run it through a second time. All right, now we need to cut that straw. So now I have more room for this long, skinny die. Just line that up. I just need a portion of my straw to be stamped because only a bit of it is going to poke out. Oh, it shifted. I don't like that. I'm going to stamp it again on the side right there. So this long, skinny one, it's harder to put through. So when this goes through, it's kind of going up and down because your platform is kind of warped like, or your cutting plates will warp like that after a while. So I'm going to try it like this, going up and down, and see if that works a little better. So now I'm just going to make sure I carefully put pressure on there and keep pressure on there until it comes through a bit. And let's see if I get a better cut. There we go. That is what I wanted. I didn't want it to shift. Okay, so there's my straw. See how I've got the stripes kind of going right up to the top? That's what I wanted. All right. So now all my die cutting is done. Okay, now we can do some of the assembly. So I've got my little window sheet right here. You can't see that, but I'm going to start off with this cup. And I did this cup a little differently on my card, but I wanted to do, I wanted the cream to sit right below the cup. But this time I thought, you know, to make it easier, I think I'm just going to cut off these little edges, which kind of makes it look like the edge of the cup. I'm just going to come along here and nip off that little bit. So now the Shamrock Shake is kind of more level with the sides, and the rim of the cup is kind of sticking out a little bit, but the Shamrock Shake is going to come to the top. Let's see if I can butt that right up. I think I need to just put the cream. I think the problem was I wanted to match up the cream just exactly with the cup. I think I'm going to put the cream just a wee bit behind it afterwards. All right, I know I'm talking to myself. These are the little things, the little intricacies that I like to kind of work out, because I'm a detail person and I don't like gaps and things like that. So I have to work that out in my head, and I did it a little differently on my original card. So how am I going to stick this on here without showing the adhesive? Well, we have this banner coming across the middle. So I'm going to take a piece of tear and tape and put it in the middle, tear it off. And I know that's going to be covered by my banner, so it won't really matter. Also, it's going to be kind of hard to see the adhesive regardless, because this is a marbled background and it's going to kind of hide the adhesive anyway. So even if you didn't stick it in the center, it wouldn't be so noticeable. But if you have a spot that's going to be covered when you're adding a window sheet or vellum to the front, that is the spot where you're going to want to put the adhesive. So you can kind of see it if you turn it. You can see where my adhesive is. So then I'm also going to want to add the straw. I'm going to add that with Tombow. So I'm just going to add just a little bit down here at the bottom, and grab my whipped cream, and I'm just going to add that like that. Okay, so now let's do the card. Now I thought it'd be fun, like I did a really plain white background, but I noticed afterwards that the card actually had the big, the polka dots in the background, that embossing folder. So what I should have done, while I had that big shot out, was to emboss that piece right away, but I didn't. So I'm going to do it now. So now I have my regular big shot platform, and it's down to the base with no, not that extra piece that comes on top of it. And then I've got my cutting plate, I've got my polka dot embossing folder, and I don't think that's what it's called either. I will look that up in a second. Or maybe someone will tell me what the name of this big polka dotted embossing folder is. Does anyone know the right name for it? Because I hate to use the wrong name for it. So I'm going to emboss that. This whisper white piece right here that I'm going to put my cup on, it measures, I didn't put out the measurements. That is not good. It actually measures, I think, 3 1/4 inches by, where is my ruler? I have that not correct on my blog. I need to go back in and change that. 4 1/2 inches. So it is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2 inches. Okay. Move that out of the way. All right. I'm having like card issues today, aren't I? Okay, so this right here will need to line up like this, and this right here will line up like that. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of Tombow and put it back here on the cream. I've got my card kind of lined up the way I want it, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to stick this like that, and I can press this down and make sure it sticks. And then I can come in here and add my cup. Make sure that's level. And add that right over top, just overlapping the cream just a wee bit so that it looks like it's actually making contact with the surface. Make sure that is straight and centered. I like those polka dots in the background. I think that looks nice. Okay, so let's create that little banner that's going across. This piece is 3.5 inches by 1/2 inch. I've got my triple banner punch, and I'm going to stick it in all the way. I'm using it on the back side so I can see where my banner is placed so that I can make sure it is centered. So when I cut it, it looks good on the end. And then let me punch it once more. I'm just lining it up with the edge, scooting it over. All right, I think that looks, yep, that's the right size. Perfect. And I'm going to take, where is my stamp? Ah, there it is, my Happy St. Patrick's Day stamp, and that is in the Teeny Tiny Wishes stamp set. And I'm going to take my Pear Pizzazz ink pad, and I'm hoping this stamp is clean. Just cleaned it a bit, and ink that up, and stamp it right in the center of this banner, like that. And then I can add it like that. So I think it's better to use tear and tape if you're going to stick to window sheet rather than the Tombow, because Tombow is liquid and it will have a little bit of a hard time drying back there on the window sheet. So I'm going to use tear and tape instead. Make sure I add my greeting the right way around. It's going to cover that adhesive from earlier. Make sure that's centered. Okay. So let's get out the card base. So for this base, I've cut an 11" by 4 1/4 inch piece, and then I scored it in half at the 5.5 inch mark. That's my card base in Bermuda Bay. Then I've taken some Bubbles and Fizz Designer Series paper, and this is one of the choices that you can get free with a $50 purchase with Stampin' Up! Right now. And I've cut this piece to, where is it? You know what I did? I printed off the wrong page for my my quick reference. I grabbed the instructions and I'm like looking at them like, why are all my measurements wrong? Well, that's why they're wrong. I printed off the wrong page from the wrong blog post. So let me measure this for you. This is 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. And I thought I had put the measurements on there last night, and I'm like, why are they not showing up on the printed page? All right, so this one I'm going to add on an angle a little bit, okay? So let me grab, I'm going to use snail adhesive because it's a nice light adhesive from my Designer Series paper. And I'm going to angle this just a wee bit. Because that's how the original card is that we're casing from. It also has some angle there, so I thought I would add that. Ooh, I like how those polka dot layers add that polka dot on the background. I'd like that. It makes the card look a little better, I think. So this layer, I'm going to just add some Tombow to the back of it. And this one I'm going to put on the card somewhat straight. It's going to look crooked because of the other layer, but it's actually going to be straight. All right. Okay, and then last but not least, I tied myself a little bit of a bow with this lemon lime twist ombre ribbon, and I love this ribbon because it's got kind of that dark to light look. And then I'm going to take a mini glue dot. They're on here. You might not be able to see them, but I'm going to stick it right behind the knot, one of them. And then I'm going to add that right over here to the side of the card. So there is the card. So let's have a look. Let's compare the two. So I made both of these. They're both kind of the same, but this one has the polka dots in the background and this one doesn't. I like the one with the polka dots. What do you think? With polka dots or without polka dots? Let's see. Is it Polka Dot Basics? Polka Dot Basics is the name of the embossing folder. Okay, yeah, that sounds right. I'm not even going to look it up. I'm just going to trust you guys that that is the name of the embossing folder. Sometimes over the years we've had so many different names of things, and I used to know all of them so well. Like I could tell you exactly all the stamp set names. And now I'm like, okay, it's got polka dots on it. It's like a polka dot embossing folder. So when I'm speaking, I'm like, my brain is like not working. But when I'm doing my blog posts, I do try and pull off the correct names for everything. But on my Facebook Live videos, oh my gosh, they are a little bit more crazy, actually. So yeah, and so I think the embossed looks a little better. So if I had done that yesterday, I probably would have been happier with my card. So do you guys like Shamrock Shakes? I haven't had one in absolutely ages, but I remember having one in the past, and I love mint. So anything minty, I love. And then if it's cold too, like ice cream is like one of my weaknesses. So between the mint and the shake, oh my gosh, it's really bad. So I thought this kind of different, you know, St. Patrick's Day card. Usually we do like a lot of shamrocks, and so that's kind of like a different sort of way to celebrate St. Patrick's Day or give a card. I wanted to show you one thing real quick because I was going to add it on here, but I couldn't find a way to add on there. Ignore my phone for a second. It will ring and it will go to voicemail. But I wanted to show you just one little quick thing. This little stamp set comes with a heart. The Coffee Cafe stamp set comes with a heart. And you can actually create a shamrock out of that. So let me show you how to do that. I've got my Pear Pizzazz ink pad, and I'm going to ink this up, my little heart. I'm going to stamp it once, ink it again, match up my bottom, stamp it twice, ink it again, stamp it a third time, and then grab my Pear Pizzazz marker, and you can go in and just give it a little stem like that. So I was going to find a way to put that on the card, but there was just not a happy spot to put it, and so I just left it off. But I just couldn't resist showing you how to do that little shamrock with that little tiny heart, because I think it actually looks kind of cute. So I don't know if you have a place to put that little thing, and if you have the Coffee Cafe stamp set, you can make little tiny shamrocks. So anyway, I'm going to turn this back around, so just give me a wee second. You get to see my ceiling. All right. Okay. So I want to see your cards that you made. When you're doing it, don't look at the craziness in the center. That sample, let me pull that out again. When you're doing it, see there's a lot of stuff going on. There's that ribbon in the background. You can ignore that if you don't want to add that on there. You know, you can keep it a little simpler. So I just recommend playing, because when you play, you learn. This card took me a little bit longer this week because it wasn't as easy to get all the layers together, and I wanted to figure out how to make my shake look like a shamrock shake. So it took me a little bit longer this week because it wasn't a card I was initially drawn to. Someone else chose it, but I learned from it, and that is the cool thing. If you do the Casing Tuesday, you will learn to create different cards that are outside your comfort zone. So I hope you will join us. Check out our Casing Tuesday Facebook group and post a card if you want to, or post a comment. You choose your level of involvement. You don't have to post a card. You can just lurk and hang out. But I hope you will. I hope one day you'll feel comfortable enough to post a card there so we can see it. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great week. Let me just, Catherine says it's a very yummy card. Well, thank you. Let me go in and just check. Everyone likes the dots. I think the dots are better. Oh, and Karen says she purchases the Ronald McDonald set every year, even if she doesn't like it, just to donate. Well, that's really sweet. I love the Ronald McDonald set this year. I think it's a really good one, especially if you have that jar set already. It's a nice combination. So, all right, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any questions. If there's questions afterwards, I will go back in and answer them, but I don't see any now. So anyway, guys, have a great week, and I will see you back here next week with another card. All right, take care. Bye-bye.